to the Sports Machine with Brian and Dean. Wednesday, December 16th, recording in Dallas, Texas. Great show lined up for you today. Peyton Manning is practicing but not starting. Some interesting talk on that. Interesting debate. MVP race in the NFL, NBA power rankings, NFL power rankings. And of course, somebody's going to get really low. Somebody's always got to get it. Someone's always doing something questionable.
They ain't got no business doing. None whatsoever.
Sometimes they do have business and we just be really hating. But that's debatable. Very debatable.
As we go into the world of the haters.
Leading off the show today, in the NFL, I'm kind of interested on who the favorite is in the AFC. With LeGarrette Blount announced he's going to be out for the season. The Patriots have a plethora of injuries.
Man, at least some of their guys are going to get back, like Edelman. You know, is going to be coming back, but their starting running backs is the problem right now.
Andy Dalton goes down for the Bengals, the team that we thought would probably take that spot.
Right.
I just said Peyton Manning looks like he's practicing. We'll get into that later on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that the Pittsburgh Steelers have snuck their way into being a favorite in the AFC?
They have, even though they're not in the playoffs, because there's still two other teams ahead of them in the wild card hunt right now. I believe it's Kansas City is like the 5th seed.
And the Jets.
Yeah, right now is off in the 6th, if I'm not mistaken. So right now they're just on the outside looking in, but
or is it possible the Jets and the Chiefs are our favorite? I've kind of been sleeping on both those teams.
Right.
But it's like you can see some with the Steelers. Those two teams, it just seems like they're barely winning. The eye test.
Yeah, right.
You know how the college football playoff likes to throw it around. I'm going to throw it around.
You know, but the strange thing about the Jets is, you know, their defense can be a top 10 defense, right? They can play well. Revis hasn't been Revis of last year or Revis of old, but he's still a guy who you can't underestimate because he's still football smart. Most lately, what's been going on with the Jets is getting the ball to one of their best receivers, Brandon Marshall. Not to mention Eric Decker's having a pretty solid year. Not to mention, I think he's actually playing the position he's more accustomed to as the number 2 receiver. They brought him in to be a number 1, but you forgot, even when he was over there in Denver, he wasn't the number 1.
Did you see the side note? And that Brandon Marshall is giving a book to Ryan Fitzpatrick for Christmas.
It's
the Keyshawn Johnson's autobiography. Just give me the damn ball.
It's kind of funny.
It's kind of messed up.
It's kind of funny too. Just don't worry about nothing else. Just get me the ball. And right now, with the way they've been winning by getting them the ball, it's like you can't really argue with it.
How do you take that? How do you take that gift? If you're Ryan Fitzpatrick, just say thank you.
Yeah. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a pretty smart guy.
Well, you know, I know he's going to say this is the smallest book I've ever seen. That's what he's going to do.
You know, he's an Ivy League guy, so I mean, he's pretty, he's not the thinnest book on the shelf.
Definitely not. You think he gets the joke?
Yeah, I think he gets the joke.
Or is it a joke at all?
Right, like I said, it could be like you said, a hidden message between us. Like,
I don't think it's anything hidden about it. I think it's pretty out there. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out what Brandon Marshall's trying to do by giving them that book. Back to the topic. The favorite in the AFC, is it still the Patriots?
Yes. Because like I said, they're still getting Edelman back. The only problem is trying to figure out what's going to happen with the run game.
And their run game is almost screens anyway. At
Right.
this point. It's
Right.
bubble screens. If they get Edelman back, they'll get that back.
But what they gonna miss the most out of LeGarrette Blount is when they have grinded a team down, they're not going to be able to, run the football with the, LeGarrette Blount is a pretty big guy.
Say fourth quarters when you have the lead.
Right. You need that. You need to lean on that run game in the playoffs, and not having. An average running attack will hurt you. So I'm interested to see what this team is going to look like going into the playoffs, to see what type of momentum they're going to take into the playoffs.
As it sits right now, the Patriots are 27th in the league in rushing yards per game.
Wow.
First in passing yards and third in points for.
Right.
So LeGarrette Blount wasn't necessarily just having the greatest season. He was having above an average season. I was going to say above average, but you got Adrian Peterson out there doing what they're doing.
Devontae Freeman, prior to the concussions and the latest injuries.
I think it is interesting on what I saw James White for the Patriots getting some touches. Not necessarily rushing the ball, but receiving the ball. So I think they're just going to throw the ball more.
Right.
When you have Tom Brady, I guess that's okay. But I'm with you. I think it hurts not having that run game in the fourth quarter.
Right.
And I think it'll be interesting if the Denver Broncos or the Bengals. I think Andy Dalton's coming back.
Honestly, I don't think so. I think
out there holding out hope that this man's coming back to the team.
And see, the thing is that he has a fractured thumb on his throwing hand. And we've seen when a lot of pass rushers or defensive ends, defensive tackles, blitzers, period, when they're blitzing now and they're able to get to the quarterback, a lot of times they're swiping for the football. Well, they're going to be swiping for the football in his hand with the fractured thumb.
Of course, unlike Mr. Ace Hanlon, I really can fight with both hands.
Yeah, in this case, you'd hope he'd be ambidextrous, but he's not. So, I don't think this guy comes back. Maybe if they was able to get a first round bye and probably get a few weeks and see how he's able to play with it, maybe. But as far as as of right now, I believe this season is over.
They currently have a bye. Whether they hold on to it with Mr. A.J. McCarron at quarterback is another story.
A.J. McCarron is, I think he's an Alabama quarterback. Yes. And I think an Alabama quarterback hasn't won a game in the NFL in some years.
Since 1987. Wow.
Yes. Because when who was that? Brody Croyle played for
That's really bad.
The Chiefs. He's 0-10.
Not one got close?
Not one. Who was that other guy they used to play with Alabama quarterback? He was with Houston. He was with New York for a minute, played a game. He was 0-1. His name was on the tip of my tongue, and I just can't get it out.
Yeah, I can't get it either. I know it's there. I remember his girlfriend was pretty popular.
Right.
And the Bengals played the Broncos.
Right.
So that might decide who gets the bye. In a couple of weeks.
You know what, though? This big game, the game between Denver and Pittsburgh this week is going to be real huge. Because I don't think Pittsburgh can afford to lose this game. But if you Denver, you don't want to give that team any more momentum than what they already have right now.
Very true.
You got to treat this as you cut the head off the snake right now before it grows up to become something that you can't handle. Right now, there's two teams that nobody should want to face going into the playoffs. In the NFC, you should not want to face Seattle Seahawks right now. If it started today, and if the playoffs started today, and if they were in, you shouldn't want to face the Green Bay the Pittsburgh Steelers. In my opinion,
I agree. I think the wild card teams in the AFC are a little bit stronger than the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, if Seattle ends up playing the NFC East team, that's just going to be a blowout.
Right. Even on the road.
Even on the road.
Right.
It'll be.
Right.
I guess I can't say that because we've seen stuff like this happen before. Everyone thought the Saints were going to blow out the Seahawks when the Seahawks were under 500.
Exactly.
And we saw what Marshawn Lynch did.
I just think it all depends on what team is in, to be honest with you. Coming out the NFC East, and it depends on what team it is because with the Giants, you just don't know what you're going to get from the Giants. They can score, but then you also know you can turn Eli Manning, you can turn him into a gift basket with pressure. He's known for just lobbing the pass up in the mean. As far as Philly goes, 1 minute they want Chip Kelly, 1 minute they don't. Like, the fire Chip Kelly ship has seemed to slowed a bit, but once again, it's still going to be interesting breaking down.
Coming up, get more in depth in the AFC on the Denver Broncos side. Peyton Manning, practicing but not starting. Is there a deeper meaning in this? Up next, right here on the Sports Machine. It's the Sports Machine. This is Ron Franklin with your daily Sports Machine sports ticker. Wisconsin coach Bo Ryan, after a great career, shocked the college basketball world by retiring Tuesday night. Patrick Kane, star for the Blackhawks, streak of 26 straight games with a point has ended in a shutout loss to the Colorado Avalanche. And the Cavaliers have announced, or the sources say, that Kyrie Irving plans to debut Thursday night. The Cavaliers played tonight against Boston, winning by 22 points, 89-77. Denver Nuggets took on the Timberwolves, winning 112-100. Sacramento Kings won by 10 points over Houston, 107-97. Milwaukee Bucks, after coming off of a huge win against the Golden State Warriors, have let down, losing to the Los Angeles Lakers, 113-95. It's Ron Frank on the Sports Machine. Just went over the favorites in the AFC. I tried to stay away from mentioning the Broncos as much as possible in the last segment because we're going to get really in depth on the Denver Broncos right now. Peyton Manning is back practicing, but Brock Osweiler is starting this Sunday. Is there a deeper meaning in this, or is this just them trying to wait a little bit longer?
I think they're just trying to stretch it out as long as they can. Once again, we know they're going to get in the playoffs. I think right now they're just kind of looking behind them because Kansas City is surging in their division, and they're kind of looking back and thinking to themselves, these next 3 games are very important because if this team behind us keeps winning, what's going to wind up happening is we wind up being a team, being a wild card team, going on the road to play somebody instead of being at home to play, making somebody come in a mile high and play.
I agree that Peyton Manning is going to come back and start.
Right. And rightfully so, in my opinion. But
that this is where I differ, is whether he should come back and start or not. Because I don't see where Peyton Manning is that much better than Brock Osweiler at this point.
Peyton Manning hasn't had the best season. To be honest with you, he's had a putrid season. Nothing like the Peyton Manning of old that we have come to know. But his resume speaks for itself. He's also, been battling some injuries from reports that's been out. He's been battling some for quite some time this season. And I think right now, allowing him to get the rest that he's been able to get right now, if Brock Osweiler can continue to just manage the game and this team can still pull out wins, especially this win against Pittsburgh this week, I think they continue to sit him until maybe the last game of the season. They'll probably play him sparingly as needed just to get him in the game and get some flow going, because if this team winds up getting a first round bye, which is possible, then that's another week you buy Peyton Manning of, hey, you got about what? You have another couple of weeks in the playoffs to get healthy and to play at your best. No one's in it. No one's in the NFL going to the playoffs is 100%, but I still take Peyton Manning at 70, 75, 80% than not at all, regardless of what his season stats stay right now. He's a proven winner. Proven winner.
That's debatable.
Hey, once again, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, an MVP. You tell me what has Brock Osweiler done? There's not a lot of tape out there on Brock Osweiler, but let's not act like, he's come in and won some games, which is what a backup quarterback is supposed to do.
Tell that to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. Once again, the leader of men with the Dallas Cowboys is Tony Romo, not the head coach, and that's a problem. It should be anyway. I still say Peyton Manning is the leader of men on that team. Brock Osweiler's done.
Still winning.
Yeah, but
tell me why the running game got better. How the running game get better?
Because they
Just
had
magically.
Yeah, because they needed to get it. They really had to lean on it. I think in Kubiak's system, Kubiak's system is based off them being able to run the ball. And with Peyton Manning, it's like, hey, you got one of the best players in the league. Do you really want to just necessarily take the ball out of his hands? Like, let him run.
Yes.
Let him run his offense.
Have you seen him play? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take the ball out of his hands. I'm trying to give it to Brock Osweiler.
Nah. Once again, Brock Osweiler is the future. And if you're Denver Broncos organization, if you are a Denver Broncos fan, you look and say, okay, Peyton Manning is our now, but our future looks pretty good with Brock Osweiler. They have something that most teams, they have to sit back and wonder and worry about. Cowboys got to worry about, a backup quarterback or a quarterback for the future. It's a few other teams out there has to worry about a quarterback for the future. But this team, the Denver Broncos, don't have to worry about a quarterback for the future because they have a guy who can run Gary Kubiak's system as long as Gary Kubiak is the head coach there.
If I'm a team, I'm looking to sign Peyton Manning next year because he looks easily replaceable.
I don't think there is a next year for Peyton Manning. I think he
so
winds
either.
up,
It was a joke. I mean, Indianapolis replaced him pretty easily, and now, we're debating on whether he should even come back or not at this point.
This is my opinion. This is what I think. I think Peyton Manning comes back like at the end of the season, right? Plays at least a quarter of football. They wind up having the first round bye. He comes back and face whatever team makes it out of the wild card round. I think this team gets back to the to the AFC Championship game, right? But they lose to the Patriots. Patriots goes back to the Super Bowl.
That would be interesting. Peyton Manning losing again.
Right. I think that's how it's going to work out. I hope it don't, but, once again.
Just comparing numbers. Peyton Manning has a 59.9 completion percentage, and Brock Osweiler has a 63.5. Touchdowns wise, Peyton Manning has 9, Osweiler has 5. Brock Osweiler just played less games. The interceptions, Peyton Manning has 17. Brock Osweiler has 3. Quarterback rating, Peyton Manning has a 67.6. Brock Osweiler has an 85.4.
In how many games?
How many games?
Osweiler's playing 3 games? 3 or 4. It's I think it's 3 or 4 games max.
5.
He's played in 5? Okay, so
Yeah.
I've undercut him a bit.
I think the Chiefs game, it was not a full. Yeah, the Chiefs game wasn't a full game. He came in for Peyton Manning. in which Peyton Manning threw
So
4
he's only played
interceptions.
four full games.
I mean, the other game, he must have played in half of it because he threw more passes than Peyton Manning. I'm looking at the Chiefs Broncos game, and I'm looking at Peyton Manning's numbers, and at 0.1 QBR. 0.1.
It was a horrible game. They actually benched him, and because that was the next day. That's when they came out with,
Oh, he's hurt.
he's plantar fascia, and
It's a coincidence.
my deal is teams has not really had a chance to like effectively like gauge Brock Osweiler. That's my knock on the situation.
What?
You only have 4
Properly
games. You only have 4 games.
Properly gauge Brock Osweiler. They didn't seem to have a problem with that with the rest of the backups in the NFL this year.
Once again, there's not a lot of film on it. He didn't start getting this for all they had was what? You gonna tell me we gonna gauge him off of what was going on in the preseason? No. They only have 4 games right now that they can actually just go back and look and say, hey, this is all we got to look at this guy with.
He's not the only backup to play this year, and he's played the best out of all of them. So I think
Right,
just saying
right.
they weren't able to gauge him, I mean, you could say that about the other backups, but they didn't play as well.
Yeah, well, then not to mention, not only did they not play as well, but then they didn't have the same kind of team. This is like this Denver Broncos team is geared up and ready. This is a team that was ready. This is a Super Bowl ready team. All they needed was somebody to just manage and guide it. Right now, he's guiding it.
That's all he needs to do.
Yeah, he's guiding it right now. But what happens when he starts to lose games? What happens when he's not able to bring them back? Let's not act like, this guy's just
I'm not saying
had a stellar performance.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
Like,
not like he's what Tom Brady did, but at the same time, he's playing better than what Peyton Manning was when he left.
yeah, but that you can only say that over 4 games. Over 4 games. I'm looking at Peyton Manning's career.
I don't think Osweiler is going to get any worse. I really don't.
That's how they say.
It's not like he was getting first team snaps.
Right, he wasn't
So,
getting first team snaps.
If
but
anything, I think he's probably going to get better.
yeah, he might get better. I think once people begin to figure out what this guy can and can't do, we'll really see then. We'll really see because you know what you can get out of Peyton Manning. That's what's always been my point is I know what I'm going to get out of Peyton Manning. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Brock Osweiler because we haven't had only but 4 games to get out of him.
Do you really know what you're going to get out of Peyton Manning, though?
I know I'm going to
9
get
touchdowns, 17 interceptions. You know what you're going to get out of him.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to get a competitive guy who knows defenses
You
when
don't
he see
think
him.
Brock Osweiler is competitive? You don't think Brock Osweiler wants to win?
I don't think he doesn't have the mind, the knowledge that Peyton Manning has accumulated over his years in the league. That's something you can't.
Peyton
buy.
Manning can tell him that through the headset. Hey, bro,
Being told something and actually experiencing is totally
it
different.
is different. But you keep going back to this 4 game, and the people are going to watch tape. What happened to Landry Jones after a half?
Hey,
Second half came in. It didn't take much tape to stop him.
it was Landry Jones.
Landry Jones, what's the difference between Landry Jones and Brock Osweiler?
A big doggone difference because the difference between them is the 4 games. This guy here's looked better in this 4 games. And this team, he had a better team to get.
The Steelers don't have a good team.
They're questionable and they have a questionable secondary. I think Ben Roth.
What's that got to do with Landry Jones?
I think Ben Roethlisberger masked a lot of the problems that this team has. That's what a great quarterback can do for your team. Mask a lot of the problems that you do have.
We have to move on. We have to move on to the MVP race. Unfortunately, you heard it here first. Landry Jones was affected by the Steelers secondary. Don't ask me how.
Landry.
Cut you off. Straight.
With the Transformers. Ah, man.
Moving on. Just went over the debate of Peyton Manning versus Brock Osweiler. Favorites in the AFC. The MVP race seems to be close in the NFL right now between Cam Newton, Tom Brady, and Carson Palmer. It's Cam Newton, right?
Yeah.
Right. I believe.
I'm full. I'm all aboard on Cam Newton.
They're undefeated. He's taken over the NFL with people wanting to watch him. He's made people mad. And then in making someone mad, boost his popularity even more.
He got kids dabbing right now.
It's not good. We do not support this message.
Oh, that's for those of them who don't know, but
Highly unfortunate situation.
when I look at what Cam Newton is doing, I think it's no different from how I felt over the weekend with the Heisman Trophy race. I felt like Deshaun Watson should have won it because of reasons I've already stated. But then I look at what Cam Newton has, and I say to myself, he doesn't have the most impressive receivers. He has a pretty solid tight end in Greg Olsen. A pretty good running back in Jonathan Stewart. They have a stellar defense. I will give them that. They have a stellar defense. Josh Norman, Luke Kuechly and company. But what the scoring and the way he has this team playing off of his energy alone is what makes him an MVP. I think that's what MVP is. Most valuable person.
He's definitely most valuable.
Right.
I think. No.
If this guy...
I wish I could say that, but last year, just mentioning Carson Palmer, what happened to the Cardinals last year after Carson Palmer went down was kind of atrocious.
It did, but then again, like, they came in a lot like this Denver situation, similar to this Denver situation. Only difference being is that Brock Osweiler stayed healthy. You remember at one point in time last year, they had
Logan Thomas.
Yeah, like they had like a third, fourth string quarterbacks playing for them last year.
It was pretty bad.
Because I think it was John Skelton had came in, then he got hurt. Then, like I said, Logan came in, another guy.
I like Skelton.
Right.
The only person in the world that probably likes him.
So that's what happened to them is the fact that they didn't protect the quarterback enough, and they wound up getting their first and second string quarterback hurt last year. Now we both agree that as good as who was that? Came in the game Sunday. Backup quarterback. I can't remember his name either. I think he played with Cleveland. Big quarterback, tall kid. Used to play there for a minute.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm gonna have to find him. But he came in. He actually played a snap and completed a pass. I don't see them going forward with that guy.
Talking about TJ Yates?
No, not TJ Yates. But
I'm moving on from it. You're not gonna find it no time soon.
I'm going to find this guy. I'm telling you.
Tom Brady is lead the league in passing yards, touchdowns, and he only has like 6 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Are we sleeping on Tom Brady? Because we see the pieces falling around him. I mean, pawns are going away. The pawns is getting taken.
No, we're not sleeping on him. He's still great, but it's only so. I think we're starting to figure out why the NFL is the ultimate team game. It's only so much this one player can do. It's only so much this one player can mask on the team.
But he's doing it. I know they lost 2 games, but let's not act like they're still first in the AFC right now. And he's still leading the league in passing yards and touchdowns. And I think he has the fewest interceptions or second fewest interceptions by a starter.
Yeah. All because of a great start. A great start with this full team of guys.
I don't know if it's just because of a great start.
Great start with this full team of guys. Like, he had his receivers. Brandon LaFell had just kind of came back, but at the time they still had they starting running back or one of their Hydra head running backs that was still playing before he tore his ACL.
So this is a Leonard Fournette situation. We're just going to forget about the beginning of the season. Straight college football, the last 3 games matter.
As of right now, they hadn't looked that great. Tom Brady's done the best he can to get this team to win, but at the same time, you need everybody else to do their part. It's one of the things you hit them with at the job. I got me. Tom Brady got him. He's going to make the adjustments that needs to be made. But can Brandon LaFell catch the ball occasionally? And what about Gronkowski and his knee right now? He looked pretty good the other game, but he said to himself, a tough guy like Gronkowski, hey, I'm not sure. I've never felt that kind of pain in my life. And when he start playing them cold weather games, you run around with that bruised knee, and you begin to take them shots because guys are going to go low on him. You still got to worry about his durability with that.
In the last 3 games, Tom Brady has 8 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a rushing touchdown. So it's not like he's falling off.
No, he's not. No, he's still trying to set the league on fire. He's one of the only guys besides who is that? Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors over there playing. Who's won a title playing with a chip on their shoulder? I didn't even know that was possible until this year, and I found out. 31 years old. Oh, you can win a championship and have a chip on your shoulder. Well, one way to do it is by just disrespecting guys.
He was disrespected.
In the worst way.
I think it's between Tom Brady and Cam Newton. Carson Palmer is getting thrown in the conversation, deservedly so, because he led that team to a really good record. Plus, he's right under Tom Brady in passing yards. And
I think he would have been close last year had it not been for the unfortunate knee injury.
Yes.
Most definitely last year, because people were sleeping on this team last year. I know for a fact I was.
This has to be one of the best seasons for MVP race, though.
Right.
Cam Newton doing what he's doing. Tom Brady.
Because nobody is just overwhelming favorite. And by the way, his name is Derek Anderson. That's the backup quarterback.
Anderson.
Yeah,
I like Derek Anderson.
Yeah, because I knew he was a big guy. He's another one of those 6'6" guys like Osweiler, but he came in and completed a pass.
I think he could win a game.
Okay, I'm not saying saying he can't. I'm not saying he can't win the game. I'm just saying
the okay is never good.
I'm not saying I don't trust this guy with everything that Cam Newton has helped.
I mean, he's not Cam Newton, no.
Right. So it's I don't expect for this guy to go out there and just people will lick their chops knowing Derek Anderson is back. They got Derek Anderson back. We ain't got to worry about Cam. Whoa, Cam. We ain't got to worry about him. Yo.
They'd run the ball.
They run the ball.
I think he could win the game.
They run the ball and get stuff like the Cowboys right now. Every time Darren McFadden can't get nothing.
They average 9 yards carry, I think.
Yeah, because of the threat that Cam Newton is.
No, I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
This weekend they was over there averaging 8 yards carry.
They were until all of a sudden everybody said, y'all gonna run all day. Look, let's see if he can make a throw, and then bloop. Oh, he can't throw the ball past 10 yards. Everybody up front. It's just that's all she wrote.
Say bring him in. Bring him in.
Man, dude.
Moving on from the NFL into the NBA up next right here on the Sports Machine.
I am Dwayne Dean, and this is your Sports Machine News Update. Officiating changes being discussed by the NFL could take effect in time for the postseason. According to Washington Post report, the changes being discussed, according to the report, would allow the league office to play a larger and more effective role in correcting potential errors made by on-field officials. Most notably, the league office could aid in game clock issues or other administrative matters. At this time next week, Tom Herman's mouth would look something like a disco ball. The Houston coach on Tuesday took a step forward, delivering on a preseason promise to his players, getting fitted for a diamond grill from Houston rapper Paul Wall and jeweler Johnny Dang, also known as TV Johnny. In a lineup of Cuban-born baseball stars, including some of the most famous defectors in recent memory, made a triumphant return to the island Tuesday as part of the first Major League Baseball trip here since 1999. Los Angeles Dodgers outfielder Yasiel Puig, St. Louis Cardinals catcher Byron Pena, and first baseman Jose Abreu and shortstop Alexis Ramirez of the Chicago White Sox were swarmed by fans and members of the state media in the lobby of the Havana Soaring Hotel Naciona at the start of a 3-day mission meant to warm relations between MLB and Cuba. That was your Sports Machine News Update. I am Dwayne Dean, Sports Machine.
Sports Machine with Brian and Dean went over the favorites in the AFC. Peyton Manning versus Brock Osweiler debate. MVP race very close. Coming up, we have power rankings, NFL and NBA in the really those segment. Let's get started with the NBA power rankings. Does losing to Milwaukee Bucks take the Golden State Warriors out of the number 1 spot?
Heck no.
That's unfortunate.
Heck no.
That's unfortunate.
24 game win streak. Tell me just because they lost one game after a double overtime win on the last day of a 7-game road trip without their starting shooting guard.
He played. Klay Thompson played.
He played that game. Wasn't his best.
He shot 4 for 14. It was not good.
he might as well have been out of the game.
If he would have been out of the game, they might have won. No, I'm not gonna say all that because it wasn't really that close.
No, man, this team will mess around and roll off another 10 straight.
Yeah, they might. It's still questionable on whether they're gonna get to 72, whatever they want to get.
70, yeah, beat the 72-10 record.
It's
Once
it's
again,
up in the air.
Right.
It's out there. It might happen, might not happen.
Except for barring injuries, and because one thing you do know, we know this even with the NFL and any major league sport, when your team has won a championship, your schedule the next season is a lot more difficult than what it previously was. Like you begin to get the winning teams that were last year more often than others.
Still amazing though.
Yeah, real talk. It's probably why so much parity in the NFL.
Second team in the NBA, San Antonio Spurs.
Yes.
I like what the Spurs have done this season. Still not sure about when they play teams with an actual center, but right now in the NBA, it doesn't look like that's a problem.
I mean, think about it. In the West, they're right behind Golden State with 5 losses.
Yeah, they're really going to work.
Like they're balling. They're playing their game. It's just once again, it's San Antonio. People don't pay them no mind till all of a sudden playoffs roll around. Oh man, no nobody want to see San Antonio. What do you mean? Ain't nobody want to see them all season. Ain't nobody wanting none of them all season. Once
As long
again,
as
they
their starters are playing.
Right. It's like, and when
I can't buy
Greg Popovich not trying to stick it to the league for trying to make them play 3 back-to-back games against top 5 teams.
Buying tickets to a Dallas Maverick Spurs game has become terrible now. You never know if the Spurs are going to play their players or not.
Right.
It's like he do it on purpose because he know it's a rivalry.
It's like, you know what? Okay, league, guess what? Here you go.
Big 3 out. Kawhi Leonard plays 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He sprained his ankle. No, he didn't. He played the next day.
He don't look hurt to me.
Number 3, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yes.
Just mentioned Kyrie Irving might be coming back Thursday.
Still wonder what that's gonna do. Well, I guess it's better now than later on in the season.
Yeah, get it done.
You're right.
You think maybe just a little conspiracy? They decided to bring him back now that they know that the Warriors aren't going to be undefeated
Right.
when they play on Christmas.
Right.
Like, all right, it doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Because J.R. Smith said,
He was hoping.
yeah, I mean, I would too.
Right.
To be the one
Extra
team
motivation.
knock them off.
Right. They knocked y'all off in the when it mattered most.
That would be kind of interesting, though, if that would have happened.
I'm still down for watching that game, though. I'm going to watch that game.
For sure. Number 4, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Most definitely.
I mean, imagine if Kevin Durant would have been hurt for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They'd probably be right there with San Antonio.
Exactly.
Number 5, the Chicago Bulls. Very inconsistent start. They still off and on.
I got Toronto. Then I got Chicago.
I've got a few more teams in between there in Toronto. I don't know what it is about Toronto. I just feel like you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
They really rely on Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan a lot. I have the Pacers coming in at number 6.
I have. Well, I told you who I had
Yeah,
already.
I think Paul George
Right.
is runner-up MVP right now in the NBA. MVP of the East, in my opinion. Two-way player. I think the way he's come back has been incredible.
Right.
Pacers play on both sides of the ball, which I think is lost in the NBA now. Usually, like you say, the identity thing. Either you offensive or defensive.
Right.
Golden State can do both. Spurs can do both. Cleveland can do both. I think the Pacers can do both,
Right.
which is why I had them ahead of the Hornets and the Raptors.
Monte Ellis actually looks pretty good with that team. Like being a guy who can create and get his own shot besides Paul George. I think that helps them out a whole lot. I like Monte Ellis down here in Dallas, but it just didn't work out.
Number 7, I have the Charlotte Hornets.
I have the Indiana Pacers.
I can see that. Charlotte, and then I have the Raptors. I kind of throw them in the same category. You never really know what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. You could flip-flop those to me.
Right.
I mean, I think I just like Kemba Walker more. That's why I put them ahead of the Raptors.
I can see that.
Who you have number 8?
Beantown, Boston Celtics.
I like it. I like that pick.
Like I said, Marcus Smart came back, and it's like this team is different. Like,
It's just a defensive team.
Exactly. I think this guy's just underrated for what he do on the defensive end, regardless of what Russell Westbrook said earlier this season and things like that. This guy, that's where he hangs his hat on defense, and he has some skill on the offensive end, but skill on the offensive end for his shooting and things like that go, you can develop that.
Yeah,
but you can't develop that tenacity to play defense. It's either in you or it's not.
He's definitely got it.
Most definitely.
Number 9, I have the Miami Heat.
I got Charlotte.
All right. Miami Heat, with Hassan Whiteside just blocking shots left and right.
Right.
And Chris Bosh leading the way.
I think this team is better than their record actually is. But I mean, I know everybody go with the whole Bill Parcells thing. You are what your records say you are, but I think this team is better than 13-9. Now, if they actually have a big man in the inside who, you said, I remember last time we discussed this guy's averaging like 4 blocks a game. 3 off. I think it was, because I think at the time I thought he was averaging 2. And he was like, no, he's averaging 4. So I'm like, this guy's.
Yeah, he averages 4 blocks, 10 rebounds, and 12 points a game.
Oh, see, yeah, you can do something with that. If you got a big guy in there who can double, you can do that. And he's in his defense presence. So, which allows Chris Bosh to actually just play
The 4 spot.
exactly. You don't need him to go in there being a big man. He can actually play more of what he was used to doing back in Toronto. Being a hybrid 4.
Number 10, I have the Boston Celtics, who you had already had on your list.
Right. I got 10. I got the Miami Heat.
All right, cool. No Los Angeles Clippers on either of our lists. I think we might hear something about that from a few people.
No. And it sucks because last week I had my Dallas Mavericks pretty high up there.
I would have the
And
Dallas Mavericks ahead of the Clippers.
It's just like over the past couple of games, my Dallas Mavericks actually just forgot about what had kind of had everybody intrigued about this team was the fact they was playing better defensively. And then the past couple of games, they've just suffered from amnesia and just said, oh, guess what? No, we're not a defensive team. And Rick Carlisle's been grilling everybody because of it.
As he should.
Right.
I mean, Rick Carlisle's been known as a coach to expect players to play defense.
And right now they're like 5th in the division, but I think they're better than the 13-11. But then again, some people are surprised by them even being above 500 due to the fact that the departures that they had leaving, some of the guys who they have had come in.
I was high on Dallas. Well, I can't say I was high on Dallas before the season, but I
You
said
had them
they
as
were
number
gonna,
8.
Yeah, I had them in the playoffs.
Right.
And with the falling of the West, it doesn't seem like I was that wrong.
You're right, because I wish we kind of had a little bit more time with that. But it's like I was looking at that earlier, and I was looking at the West like, goodness gracious, after 5, you begin to see like I think number 8 right now is 12-14.
11-14.
11-14. That's
Denver.
Right.
You have the Houston Rockets at 12-14 at 7.
Mavs is like at the
5 spot.
right. So basically from 1, 2, and 3, that's it.
it's kind of like they flipped to the East, almost.
Right.
Maybe maybe as the season plays out, it'll get more evened out, but it's not look good right now.
Right.
It's time for the NFL power rankings. Moving from the NBA to the NFL. Number 1 undefeated team, it's got to be the Carolina Panthers, correct?
Yes. Without question.
If there's anyone out there that does not have the Carolina Panthers number 1, I would like you to hit me up. Let me know something. I want to know what you see that I don't see.
I mean, this team came into Dallas on Thanksgiving and handed my Cowboys and hurt our quarterback, and I'm still like, yo, I'm still amazed at this team. So
From that, I thought them blowing out the Atlanta Falcons 38-0 was pretty impressive.
yeah, most definitely they handled them. But there's one thing I feel like Carolina needs to really be careful of. They really need to be careful of the whole. I kind of say they kind of showboated a bit. Like after the game, they was up by so many points and they was over there taking selfies. I'm like, be careful because you do have to go back into Atlanta and play this team. And one thing we always said about division matchups, you can always throw record and all that stuff out the window because this team they had a hard time with the Saints, who was at home and played their butts off to try to take their O away from them. Let's not think that Atlanta won't come out there wanting to do the same thing.
Atlanta's going to need that win to try to make the playoffs, too, because they're really falling out of it.
Exactly. So when I saw them over there, just, I'm not knocking them for having fun with it, but it's like, hey, let's not forget, you still got 2 division games.
The Panthers are that team, though, that has fun while they play.
Right. And I'm not knocking it, and I'm not bashing it, but
I might knock it a little bit because I remember the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James the first time around.
Right.
They were that team.
Oh, yeah.
Breezing through the East. LeBron James, they be doing the photos pregame and doing the dances. And then you get into the finals or the semifinals and just
get swept or win one game, which was not a complete sweep, but it was
might as well
pushed
be a
to the
sweep.
side. Right. There it is.
I mean, you didn't go all the way in the dustpan. You left the little crumbs on the ground.
True story.
Number 2, I have the Arizona Cardinals.
Number 2, I got the New England Patriots.
I can see that.
Mainly because Gronkowski came back.
I was just really impressed by the Arizona Cardinals and the way they beat the Vikings.
Right.
Because the Vikings,
they're slumping right now.
yeah. And I'm impressed by the Cardinals as a complete team to me. And the Patriots are actually right there.
Right.
I just think the Cardinals have just a little bit better run game, especially now that LeGarrette Blount's out.
Right.
I mean, you could say the same thing about CJ, but I think Andre Ellington's going to come back from turf toe. And then,
Is that David Johnson?
yeah,
Right. He's like an all-around guy.
I like
he's
his
a
game.
bigger Darren Sproles, in my opinion, because for some time this season, he was returning their punts and kicks.
I like his game a lot.
Right. I do have Arizona 3, though, behind the Patriots.
I have Patriots 3.
All right.
I'm not too upset with having them flip-flopped.
I have 4. I got Denver Broncos.
I also have the Denver Broncos at number 4.
And then behind them, I have Cincinnati.
I have the Pittsburgh Steelers, number 5.
Wow. All right. I can understand that. I can't even shoot it down because I just said earlier in the show, I think this team is one of the teams to beat, but I have the Green Bay Packers ahead of them. So I guess it's the Green Bay Packers at, I believe that's the 6th spot. And then number 7 is Steelers.
I have Green Bay at the 6th spot. And then I have the Bengals at the 7th. You can't tell me the team with A.J. McCarron is going to be as good as the team with Andy Dalton.
No, but they're going to have to really lean. With A.J. McCarron, they're going to have to lean on the run game. I think they got away with a lot when you have a quarterback playing his best football of the season. I think they got away with a lot. I think now they're going to be forced into something like how Kansas City was when Jamal Charles went down, and they started using more of a 2 running back system instead of just being mostly Jamal Charles. Now it's going to be they're going to really utilize their 2 running back system inside the tackles and outside the tackles with another running back.
I can see that.
A.J. McCarron probably won't throw no more than 25, 30 times.
You better not. If he throws the same thing we saw with Brock Osweiler this weekend, which Brock Osweiler, I believe, threw 51 passes and
Then
then lost
they're
to the
doomed.
Raiders. It's
Yeah.
like the fact that you wanted him to throw 51 passes is beyond me.
Exactly. You're doomed. So it's like 25 to 30 is your maximum with him, and your heavy dose of the run, controlling the flow of the game. Should be all they're trying to do.
When it comes to the Packers, it's still feel like they're missing something. It's hard to see them overcoming the Cardinals or the Panthers, but they are the third best team in the NFC.
Right. Not to mention, they had their running backs had a good game against the Cowboys this week. Starks and Eddie Lacy I think they had over 200-yard rushing, both of those guys combined. So,
That might be attributed to them having the Cowboys defense on the field all day.
yeah. Just can't knock them for taking advantage of it, because I would.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. I mean, the possession was out of there. I mean,
Yeah.
they had the ball for 37 minutes and 48 seconds.
Yeah. That was just pretty much the whole game.
It was not close.
Behind the I got Green Bay. I got Seattle coming in after that.
At the 8th spot,
Right.
I have the Kansas City Chiefs.
I got them at 9.
Then I have the Seahawks at 9.
You do? 10. I got the Jets.
Right there with you. I have the Jets at 10 as well. I believe that with Ryan Fitzpatrick, they're good enough to make the playoffs. But one of these teams in this power rankings, because we both have the Chiefs, the Jets, and the Steelers in our power rankings,
Right.
one of those teams aren't making the playoffs. Which one is not going to make the playoffs?
I honestly think the Steelers won't make it, man. I think they have a little more difficult schedule coming up. Playing at Denver. No, I'm sorry. Denver comes into Pittsburgh,
Yes.
right?
But then they play at Baltimore and at Cleveland.
Once again, those are division games, so you just can't. You don't know.
No,
You don't know.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
10-6, you don't think they make it?
Nope. Because I think the Chiefs and the Jets have a better schedule. The Jets have the Dallas Cowboys this week, which
You're kind of right, because I just looked at the Chiefs' schedules. They go into Baltimore, and then they play the Browns at home and the Raiders at home.
right,
The Raiders might be a hard team.
right. Just trying to play spoiler to somebody.
Yeah.
So, and if you're the Chiefs, if you can continue to win, you actually put more pressure on the Denver Broncos to win out.
You don't think it's possible
That they can jump them,
that
in the division? Yeah, I think it is.
you
It
think the
could.
Chiefs could pass the Denver Broncos?
If they lose games, if they lose
Well,
this
yeah,
game,
if they lose games.
yeah,
But I don't think they're going to lose.
who's Denver's last 3 games? Pittsburgh and who else?
You just hold on.
He said,
We over here talking about other teams, and you just throw like they play the Steelers, Bengals, and Chargers.
It's very possible.
The
They could
Bengals
lose
have
the
AJ
next two.
McCarron. All right.
They have AJ McCarron, and then I could say the same thing about Brock Osweiler. Have said it. Bink saying it.
You think AJ McCarron and Brock Osweiler the same? Brock Osweiler been putting in work, been winning games. AJ McCarron got blown out by Pittsburgh.
He came to a game unprepared. Not
That's his
ready.
fault. What he is
Let's
required to be
give him a
prepared.
full week. Let's give him a full week of practice, and
What
let's
you
see.
giving him as a pass. That's what you're doing for not showing up to the game.
He doesn't deserve a pass.
No. You're a backup quarterback in the NFL. You're not gonna be ready to play. Landry Jones did all right when he went in there the first game. Then he got blown out the next game. But
Okay.
Brock Osweiler was ready.
Did they didn't win that game?
They didn't win the game, but he played a lot better.
Oh my God! There it is. He didn't win the game.
They were getting blown out by like 30 at the time. He can't come back for 30. He had a good game.
They
He played
lost.
really good in the second half.
Oh.
They won the second half, I think.
So you giving out participation ribbons now? Okay. I never would have. Okay. All right.
Not participation. He played well. It's all about individual stats over here.
A participation with the team. The team didn't get a win, but look at what I got.
I put in work. I put up 30.
All right.
I get nowhere unless the team wins.
What? Oh man. Yeah.
Really though. Really though. Really though.
Oh man, that tickled.
Things in sports that make you say, really though?
Oh man. I got you, man.
I don't think you got me. I think I'm steadfast that Brock Osweiler is better than AJ McCarron.
No, I didn't mean like I got you far as the argument goes. I was just saying I got you far as I go first on this one, man. Okay. Like I'm letting you hand out your participation.
I ain't got no
ribbons.
participation ribbons. It's about individual stats. It's different. It's not like he had 18 errors and still got a trophy. Brock Osweiler did work. He was the MVP for the Broncos that game.
Okay.
Peyton Manning's getting participation ribbons from you.
So my really though goes to the AFC. Arizona State football players who was arrested for burglary, and their excuse was they was trying to get a vacuum cleaner. These guys have been charged with second-degree burglary, second and third-degree burglary, and they gave the excuse that I was trying to get a vacuum cleaner. Like, I guess your dorm was just that filthy, right? This was Deontay Reynolds and Jaime Adamwau. I'm just butchered his last name, but don't worry about it, dude. Like, you just practically ruined your career over a vacuum cleaner after trying to steal 2 iPods and an iPhone. That they got caught with a portable speaker. Really though, I won't say nothing else about these guys. Just really though. Good God.
No man, their rooms was dirty.
That's how I start. Dirty rooms with dirt with other people's product.
They want to clean up. Shout out to them for trying to clean up their room.
Yeah, they cleaned up somebody's room courtesy of an iPod and a speaker and an iPhone.
Well, you have to have music when you're trying to clean up your room.
Yeah, that's how I start.
You can't clean up your room without music. It's boring.
It's all right though. Let them keep on that road. They'll be playing basketball at Pelican Bay. Shoe program. 23-hour lockdown.
My really though goes out to the NFL. NFL on it again. Really though champions. The officiating has been very questionable in the NFL this year. And, the NFL decided they might do something about this before the playoffs. Effect could change before the playoffs. So this is what we do. We wait 13 weeks into the NFL season to fix problems. 13 weeks.
Hey,
or 14.
That is why they get paid the millions of dollars and we get paid to sit here and talk sports.
You gotta get paid millions of dollars to make terrible decisions that I get to talk about.
Straight up. Oh man.
Really though, this has been a problem all season. You're gonna try to fix it before the playoffs. Why don't you fix it now?
Yeah. We're gonna make these adjustments immediately.
Really though, NFL. Roger Goodell always got some quotes. Starting out with, we see that there is a range from high to low as far as number of fouls that have been called. What can we do to try to make sure that it's done consistently? There should not be as much of a range. Obviously, some of that, as you know, is based on the game. If fouls are occurring, they should call more fouls over a season that should start to become pretty level. What I would like to point out is Roger Goodell asks a question in here and never answers it. He says, what can we do to try to make sure that it's done consistently? Pause. There should not be as much of a range. What? Doesn't make any sense, sir.
He's like, excuse me, sir, I
It's
don't
like
understand.
You
I don't understand.
Say it again. Say something else. Oh,
How you gonna ask him?
say something else.
I guess the question was rhetorical, or was he actually asking a question because he don't know?
That's how I start.
Really though, Roger Goodell, you gonna ask the question and then not even answer it? I don't know how you fix it. Maybe get some full-time refs. Start paying them some bread. Great show today. On my part, individual stats over here. I give Dean a participation award.
No, thank you, sir.
You can take the white ribbon home with you.
In some schools, they had the green one.
You know, if you got a green one, it must have been bad. That doesn't mean go.
No, yeah, it means go get better.
It means go to the bench.
Go improve.
You did not do well on field day. That's what that means. Coming up later on in the week, Thursday night football, Tampa Bay, St. Louis. Get into that. Also later on, towards the end of the week, we'll have our NFL Pick 6.
Bowl Mania week.
Oh, we got some random bowls going on.
Starting this weekend.
The
Bowl Mania Pick 6.
The Asterisk Bowl. The Asteroid Bowl.
Alligator Bite Your Leg Bowl. God.
The Participation Bowl,
That's how I start.
where both teams win. All that coming up right here on the Sports Machine.